all, sorry for the slightly late start, but we're still waiting for one panelist who is on his way here. I'd like to welcome you all to the Game Changers. Our panelists are Majid Ansari,
Danielle Arbid, Alaeddin Abou Taleb, Assad Fouladkar, Noura Kevorkian, and our moderator is Antoine Khalife. Enjoy.
Yes, it's working. Good morning, Sabah al Khair. Good morning, everybody. Really very happy to be here this morning to talk with some filmmakers about their films, about where they are, what they did, what they're trying to do, what they would like to do in the future. Before this discussion, I'd like to introduce the people that you have near me. Noura Kevorkian. Noura, she's a filmmaker originally from Lebanon. And she did a lot of documentaries. I remember Wheels Uncovered, that this film has been in different festivals. We've been following your work at the Dubai Film Festival, and we're really happy to present here the documentary that you just finished, a very personal love letter to your father. It's 23 kilometers. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And Danielle Arbid, I've been with her during 2 days because we presented here her film Parisienne in this festival. But we know Danielle because her film Beirut Hotel was shown in the festival. She did many feature films. 3 fiction talking about very strong female characters, that they know what they want, and in the battlefields, dans les champs de bataille, Beirut Hotel and Parisienne, and she did 1 film about 1 male character, Lost. All the characters she knows what they want are females, and she has 1. Danielle, welcome. On est ravis de t'avoir aussi. Assad Fouladkar, we presented yesterday his film, Halal Love, in the gala. We're really happy to have you here. Assad, he did a film when Miriam spoke out. It was a very strong film, and the films that had big success, but participate in many, many international festivals. And we've really been expecting your film, and we're happy to have Halal Love. And finally, I have with me Majid Ansari. We know Majid because a lot of films that he's been involved in were shown in Dubai, were shot in Dubai, Sea Shadows, From A to B. But his film as a director was also in The Intruder. Yes, correct? And we're really happy to have ZINZANA. We saw ZINZANA everywhere here in the mall, and we're happy because this film gonna be released commercially. And I'm expecting also, as Jinan, she said, in a Tunisian director, Alaeddin Abou Taleb, he didn't show up. He has a short film in animation. Very interesting. So we would like him to join us when he gets here. Maybe I want to start with Majid. If we're gonna open this discussion, I wanted to talk today about the freedom that you can get, that you can have if you want today to do films. The liberty that you would like to have morally. Financially, ZINZANA, maybe it could be a mainstream film. So but could you tell us about the liberty that you worked on the script? What did you want to do? Because it's really completely a genre film. And
well, thank you for having me here, and thank you guys for coming this early. I think with ZINZANA, I'm a huge fan of Asian cinema, and I'm a huge fan of the genre itself. Mm-hmm. So, watching Park Chan-wook and watching Sang Soo-im and watching Shinji Sakamoto and all these great filmmakers that are coming from Asia.
Park Chan-wook.
Yeah. So to me, I just wanted to do a really cool film, but in Arabic. Like I wanted to make an Arabic film that could fit in that kind of category. Because I always I have a DVD shelf that I have all the Asian films, and I'm like, why don't I have an Arabic film in there? Then slowly starts with 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. I would hope that one day that this becomes a movement and there are more filmmakers that do genre films. I love genre specifically because it's the art form. It's about the art form. You know, one day we could have more and more genre films, and maybe one day we have our Park Chan-wook and our Sang Soo-im and our Shinji Sakamoto. Instead of me saying Asian names, hopefully one day I'll be saying Arabic names. Yeah, that was literally my drive and my goal, is to have a cool film that could be commercial, that people could watch, but also has that artistic feel, the genre feel to it. But yeah.
But living in an Arab society, do you think that the Arab society are open to that kind of films?
That we will see. I think we have very good response from ZINZANA, and thank you guys for premiering it here. And the Twitter, the Facebook has been really blowing up as far as people from Kuwait, people from Bahrain, because it got released commercially on the 10th. So people from the Arab world are really kind of looking at this and they're like, wow, okay, this is something new with cinema. And I remember we had our trailer at one point, and until today, we got like about 10,000 to 15,000 views of people in Egypt just saying, wow, okay, this is the kind of films we want to watch. Even though Egypt, of course, it's they have a lot of films, but they're like, okay, this looks different even for us. So it's nice to see that kind of feedback. And even if it starts small, I don't think that should be a problem. You know, we start small and grow that audience. I think genre overall grew slowly in the West also. Thanks to the drive-in theaters, thanks to, you know, the 1950s Roger Corman films and 60s Roger Corman films, that very cheap, cheesy blood films. But now look at genre films today. There's different classes and different films and different auteurs that some of them are doing great films, some of them are doing bad films. But it doesn't matter. A film is a film, and a film is an accomplishment by itself.
But this is interesting because I asked you this question about liberty because I wanted to talk about our living in the Arab societies. Is we are ready today to talk about some delicate issues. This is why I wanted to continue with Assad. Your film Halal Love, and I remember when Miriam said, your film is dealing with some important issue, if I mean, not some. It could be a comedy noir, or it could be. But you are talking about very sensitive, delicate, but very important subject in your film. Did you censor yourself when you decided to talk about halal love, about sex in your film, in a particular community, or?
Yep, halal love. It's mainly deals with relationships between couples. Islam never shy away from sex. Sex is a big part of the religion. Yes, they respect sex when it is done with the right person. And this is why there are so many books written and so many things done about the best relationship between a couple. But the thing is, it's never said, it's never done or never said, we shy from it. But in Islam, it is part of it. So in my film, it's relationships between couples. Yes, married couples, and how they can manage their love life in an acceptable way without breaking any rule. The main censorship
in the
was
religion, without break any rules in the religion.
Without breaking any religious rules, anything in Islam. So everything, especially when you are faced with a big wall, this is when you start to create a way out. And for those people in the film, they need to create the way out according to Islam. Part of it is funny, and this is where the funny part of the film. The big censorship was from myself. I felt I'm dealing with a very sensitive issue. I rewrote the script many times. I felt, yep, probably this is the first time something like this was done. I mean, because I'm relating sex and relationships with Islam, so it was a bit sensitive and maybe dangerous, and how people are going to react to this, and especially because it is comedy, not a drama. As a drama, they will take what I'm doing as serious, and probably this is very heavy thing. But in drama, in comedy, probably it will be taken like I'm laughing at, or not looking at it respectfully. So, yeah, I did the big censorship for the film. Any other people read it? Yes. Official people read it in Lebanon? Yes. I read the script. Yes, I got some recommendations to change some parts and not to say it.
Professionals, from professionals or from religions authorities, wherever?
Religious authorities.
Authorities, yeah.
Yes. Because I felt I need kind of safety to know if what I'm doing. I don't want to make a film and no one watch it, especially in Lebanon. So it was a long way. I started writing this 7 years ago. All the problems started like 3 years ago. And when I was doing the casting, I was asking the actors to do some scenes, and then what they were talking in the scene spread out to other people, and then I got calls from some officials that you're doing something probably dangerous. So yeah, it is a big issue.
Sometimes we think that we are provocative, but indeed, films are not. But just we have this image that could be provocative or not. This is my question for Danielle. Danielle, she always wanted to work on strong female characters, but the girls, they just want to live their life without you. I don't think that you wanted to be provocative in your films, but you had to deal with this for many reasons. Could you talk to us about how you draw your characters, your female characters? I'm talking about Parisiennes, the film that is shown now, but about also the other two characters in Beirut Hotel and dans les champs de bataille. I don't think that you are really provocative, but sometimes the people, they find this.
Thank you, Antoine. My most provocative film is about a man. It's a lost man that is censored in the Middle East. And if you call that provocative, I don't know if I'm provocative.
People, not you.
Yes, but we never know what we're doing. So I think I'm free. I'm not provocative. But maybe it could provoke people. What I say, what I film. But when I film something, I want to go to the end of the idea. This is what I feel I have to do. I don't stop in the middle of the road. So, but it's about characters that are free. I live in Paris since I'm 17, so. I have also a kind of life not ruled by the society as I could live in Lebanon, but I come from there. So, but it's not about the love scenes that could be in my films. It's about the whole character.
Exactly.
Yes, it's about choices, and it's about direction in life, and it's about. It's not only about these scenes, because I could do more provocative.
Yes, sure,
with these scenes.
Sure.
But it's just because it tells the story. The story continues on in these scenes. For me, for example, if we talk about these scenes, the sensual scenes in my films, I like the character to be real all the time. I like to film people sleeping or film people that you don't usually film. So you usually film people talking or telling the story or living the story. I like to film near, and I like to show the sensuality of like in the museums. It's not like it's not provocative for me. It's sensual. It's grace. I like to search for grace in the films. How to see somebody like graceful, like I don't know if graceful is the word, but it's just to show the grace. I'm very influenced by drawings, la peinture.
Which ones, for example?
Les impressionnistes, for example.
The impressionist, yeah.
Yes. And la photographie aussi. I'm not much influenced by a film when I make a film. It's just I go to museum more than I go to the movies. And I like to draw. So most of the drawings are naked people. So it's just not for me. It's sex, it's just paintings. And I wanted also with these scenes to give a seductive image to the Arab world. Because we don't see them like this. The Arabic people, we don't see them like this in films. We see them from the West as characters like, or people living far from the West or not desirable. And I wanted to make my Lebanese stories, my Lebanese character, desirable. Not only talking about the war. Or, voilà. I think that the Arab world should pay me. Because I'm making people desirable, which they are, but
and
I'm
beautiful.
Showing them desirable.
And beautiful. We saw your actress yesterday, and beautiful.
No, no, I'm provoking now. But no, it's just, voilà. Thank you.
Just when I call on the stage Alaeddin Abou Taleb, I was talking to him about his animation films that we showed yesterday, the short film. Alaeddin, welcome. Noura, we've been talking today about the liberty of doing something that we really wanted to do. Your film, 23 Kilometers, it's a documentary, but it's also, it's as I said, it's a love, it's a letter of love for your father. And because it's personal, when it's really, really personal, do you enjoy the liberty to do that? Do you think about it because it's so moving, it's so touching, it's so close to you, and your father was sick? I want you to talk about the liberty in a cinematographic way and in a personal way in your film.
23 Kilometers is a documentary and a drama. And the fact that the film is about a man dying of Parkinson's disease, it was possible to make this film because the main character in the film is my father. So he was able to give me access to a life of a man who's sick and dying. I don't think anyone can make a film about a character such as a Parkinsonian patient without being attached to them and knowing them. So in that sense, the film is personal. But I tried to make the film about a man at the end of his life suffering with Parkinson's and try to detach myself from the fact that he's my father so that I could make a very creative film that the audience can connect to. I think if you tell someone I made a film about my father, it's completely different acceptance from the audience than when you tell them I made a film about a man who suffers from Parkinson's. It's completely different, it's objective, and people are more open to it. But again, I think this whole panel is about the modern, the new filmmakers and the subjects we're dealing with. In that sense, this is a very different film, and some of the issues here that we're talking about, you know, Tarantino-esque film about, you know, the sexual suppression of, you know, we don't usually make films like this. These are all the new films that are coming out. And I think that's the idea of this panel. Yeah. So in that sense, my film is totally non-commercial film. It's not a good way to pitch it, but it is. It's a very creative film that probably doesn't have a market. So that's why I'm very excited. The fact that funders like Dubai Film Festival funded this film, it says that we as a market and audience in the Middle East are open to films like that, that are very creative, artistic, and maybe not sellable broadcast-wise.
But our idea of this panel is just to know how the filmmakers today, the Arab filmmakers, they work with their own liberty, even if they do a documentary, personal documentary.
So that's where I'm coming, is that I had the liberty to make a film like this because it's set in Lebanon. It has all the effects of being a Lebanese person, a Middle Eastern person that is affected by the politics of the character, the surroundings, the culture, and the illness. And it's a personal film all wrapped together. And so it's really hard to say whether it's a drama, it's a documentary, it's a mix, it's an experiential essay. So I'm not sure if I answered your question exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And because I have a question, but it's a bit tricky. Because Assad, I asked Assad if he censored himself when he was writing the script, because the script is talking about this relationship, about it. Did you censor yourself when you are shooting your father? Did you say, I cannot talk about this,
yes.
I cannot approach him?
Yes, yes. I did have to think a lot about the film, and there were a lot of things that were very personal that I took away from the film, just again to make it accessible. And Parkinson patients are very difficult to look at and to interact with. First of all, they don't have any facial expressions. You don't know if they're happy or sad. There's a lot of things that as people and society we are uncomfortable with old people, like drooling, or when they're talking, their teeth move, all these things that we have in our grandfathers, and we've seen them. So I had to censor those out and take them out so that the audience feels comfortable looking at him, to fall in love with the character and not feel that they're withdrawing from things that they don't feel comfortable with. It was mostly aesthetic and personal parts that I took out, as opposed to cultural taboos.
Exactly. And the aesthetic part is in the center of Diaspora, Alaeddin, Abu Taleb. I saw the short film yesterday on the big screen, and it's really amazing. You work, like, I know that you're a virtual artist, that you work on animation technique, and your character, your main character in this animation is weird. We can feel it as it's weird, but it is strong because it's a film with a lot of symbolism. It talks a lot, and it's really well done. So, could you talk to us about? Also, this is a man who lives in a room, close, and he's trying to find a job. He's really weird. Maybe not. Maybe I feel like this. Could you talk to us about it, and how did you work on this character? You just have to open it, yeah.
Basically, I'm a visual artist, so for me, the cinema is like painting. So you have to sculpt your film. You have to create environment and a world, real world, or a fantastic world, and that's what I always try to do. There's many challenges in the film. One of them that the film without music at all, just sounds and sound designs, and also there's no dialogue. It's a mute film, and no facial expression because it's just a sculpture, which is there's no open eyes and these things, because in paintings the paintings with eyes is so attractive. But in the film, there's no eyes. In all the film, there's no opening eyes. So this could be a strong point to give the personality to the character. So first I create the character, and then I create the apartment. It's the ambience inside the apartment with lights and this stuff. But also I inspired from my country, Tunisia, for the character. I inspired from
from the oppression, because he's stuck in his apartment, from the political issue. That
of course, especially the political issue. The old politicians and the old people who lives the intellectual people who don't want to be a real in a part of the society and these things.
Jinan, maybe we can see like trailers of 3 films, maybe. Is that possible? So like to, and after that we'll continue the discussion. Thank you, Jinan.
Qui se trouve moche dans ce cours? Ah, voilà, 2 garçons moches. Voilà, non, la jeune fille non, la demoiselle non plus. Bon. Eh bien, puisque personne ne s'avoue moche, nous sommes en phase avec notre sujet. Dans ce cours, nous allons aimer le lait. Nous allons surtout explorer l'art du XXe siècle dans toute sa diversité. L'expressionnisme, le body art, a commencé par la paternité même du lait, avec le Chronos de Goya. Vous verrez, le catalogue est impressionnant. Il vous fera oublier tous vos complexes. Si jamais vous en aviez bien sûr. La fascination qu'exerce le lait a été jusqu'ici passée sous silence. Or, le lait n'est pas l'horreur qui est accidentelle, ni la terreur. Le lait est ontologique, c'est-à-dire lié à l'essence même de l'homme, à sa finitude. Face à toutes les mutilations psychiques qu'il rencontre dans sa vie et contre lesquelles il se bat, l'homme porte alors sur lui les traces de ses combats intérieurs. La plupart du temps, le lait apparaît comme le simple négatif du beau, et c'est très réducteur.
We need the two others, please, Jinan, yes.
أنا غلطت، الغلط لبسني من راسي لفشلها.
إذا من جد تحبني انساني.
اصبر يومين بنوديك المحكمة.
صح النوم سيدي.
طريقي وطريقك تقاطعوا. موضوع في غاية البساطة. تفتح تمك ناس بتموت. اوبا ابعتوا ضرورية، كل الضرورية.
انت منو؟
فديري بالك منه هاد كوكو. لكن أنا عايش، لا في عندك مجال تقدر تهرب وقت المزاج ده. الوش مش بالضرورة يعبر عن حقيقة الإنسان، الإجرام موجود بالدم.
تعرفي كيف يجيبوا الأولاد؟ في دودة اسمها حلقة.
دودة بتجي أساساً من الرجل، بتضلها تمشي 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 تمشي
لحتى توصل عند الست. يعني البابا في عنده دود؟
بدي وحدة ارجع احكي معها عن الحب والزهرة.
دق انا وصلت.
أنا مجوز وعندي ولاد، بس أنت ما تواخذيني بهالكلمة مرة مطلقة، خاطر الناس تشوفنا مع بعض.
من أول ما تجوزنا ما قضينا نهار مثل الخرق.
عجاد؟ مدري ليش
بختار واحد
هي صعب شوية أول كم سنة بس بعدين يعني
يصير أضرب.
خلاص كريم، شو رأيك نجيب بعد مرة تانية؟ انت بحق لك بأربع.
اما تفتشي له على عروس وهالقد معجبة فيه.
اختي ما عاد قادرة.
بلا نفس.
الدين مش لعبة هتلعب فيه مثل ما بدك. هي أصلا ما بقى فيك تعيدها، ما بقى فيك ترجعها.
واحدة بتحب تتجوز واحد يحترمها ويحبها. عايشة مع رجال وعم تظهري معه بس بالحلال.
حيواني.
شو حلو الإنسان يكون عنده مرة.
مختار أنا ما رح أتجوز كرمال صالح غلطة أنت عملتها.
هذا الشرع ونحن مش حنعمل شيء مخالف للدين. يلا
بتعرفي كيف يجيبوا الولاد؟
كان دايما وافق على كلامي.
ايه لأنه أنا دايما معي حق.
Thank you. Assad, in your film there are a lot of female characters, and when Miriam's book out, it was based on the center was a woman. How difficult is to work on female's character in your films? Like I want to mention here, like the divorced character played by Darine Hamze. Is that difficult to work on it? Than the male character?
Difficult to work
on a female character, on to draw.
My main character in my other film, when Maria spoke out, was female.
Exactly.
Anyway, it goes around to the male character anyway, but it will be clearer to talk through a female character because she's supposedly the weaker part. And this because the guy the man has more choices in our society, whereas women have less choices. I loved it because they're more colorful than men. Men just go straight to the point. Women just go around to play around. Anyway, men have the decision of everything in our society, whereas women have the decision of controlling the men their own way. So at the end, they do the big part. One of the stories, someone is very sick of her husband. She's always working at home. At the end of the day, when it is time to go to bed, this is when the hardest job comes, having sex with her husband. But the problem is doing this every day, so this is very bad for her. This is when she's suggested to have another wife for her husband, and she goes looking for that wife for her husband, in spite of the rejection of her husband. So funny stories, but seriously real stories. Love working with not just women, but women's characters are more colorful, and especially in our society, you can say more about them, especially when you're talking about something like this sensitive issues.
Are they more cinematographic?
Are they?
More cinematographic?
What, the women?
Women, yeah.
Well, they're, especially when dealing with sex, they're behind every secret. They're more colorful. They're more cinematographic, probably.
Thank you. Danielle, you know, many filmmakers, when they do films, when they choose characters, they look for an alter ego. François Truffaut, he did this with Jean-Pierre Léaud, even Fellini, he did this with Mastroianni. Female filmmaker, we didn't see a lot of female filmmakers having a female alter ego. In your film, you have a lot. You have 3 females alter ego. We can see them, they're strong, beautiful, whatever. I want you to talk a little bit about this relationship with your characters, with the 3 characters that you drawn in the battlefield, in Beirut Hotel, and now in the Parisienne. Because especially now, if you talk about Parisienne, it's very close to you. We can feel, because it's taking place in the beginning of the 90s, so there's a period that you know. So we can feel this mélange, I can say, mix between you and the character. I'm not saying this is autobiographical. I'm saying just how do you put yourself in your characters?
It's a bit autobiographical. All my films are autobiographical, and we the first one was obviously autobiographical. I did 2 documentaries where I filmed myself going in and out of the camera, talking to people that I like or I don't like. You feel that because I studied journalism and I did 2 documentaries. I did short fiction and then I did 2 documentaries. And I did exactly the opposite of what I learned in the School of Journalism. So you learned not to interact with people, and I interacted with them in my 2 films. And this is my way of doing films. I interact with my actors. I have to be friends with them because they are telling something that I lived or I liked or something very personal. I'm not a storyteller in the sense of I can tell a story that has nothing to do with me. I met a big Hollywoodian producer 2 months ago in Toronto. We had dinner and I told him I will be the last one to go to Hollywood. So I'm not into I have to be free to make a movie. And it's just I put myself in a way that and the people I meet who will do my films, I have to love them a lot, and they have to love me a lot. So it's an interaction, it's give and take, and it's not I don't fabrique, je sais pas fabriquer. Voilà. Every film is an adventure for me. And the risk. My father used to play a lot cards and go to the casino. And in a way, he loved to take these risks. I think I take them in doing films more adventurous. Voilà. But I like films like yours and yours. I like genre films. I like the society films. I go to watch. I like to watch different films after I do my stuff. I think all of us are very different, yes. And which makes the scene interesting.
Mm-hmm. And, we feel your father in the battlefield and in Parisienne. He's present.
Yes.
Great. Majid, Danielle was saying that she has to be friends with her actors. And I was talking to her about the alter ego, because it's something very, very important. I know that you have 2 main characters in your films. Are you friends with them? Do they look like you?
I'm very much Dabban. No, definitely. Ali and Saleh, honestly speaking, it was my first film. So going in knowing I have Ali and Saleh being my actors, I was actually terrified. I never told them I was terrified. I was just trying to avoid talking to them for socially or privately. But as far as when it came to work, definitely we had this relationship. And as we started shooting, we just became closer and closer and closer. And it became more emotional, it became more attached. And I definitely agree. I think film is magic. A film is something that you have to put your heart and soul. And very similar to you, I love having people that I work with love me and I give love back, because I think the magic of film is the love that you have on set, and I think that's essential. I love positive energy. I tried my best not to have a fight on set. I remember we had, throughout the 30-day shooting and 4 months prep, and I think we had one argument that was so silly. We're like, oh, we're 5 minutes late. Damn! I think that's what, and if we did have an argument, we always kind of put a stop to it, talk to it. Well, let's find the middle ground, no matter what it is, whether it's the actor, the performers, or whether it was the crew. And that's what you see in the film, and that's why I believe what made the film is that energy and that love. And specifically when it came to like hiring the crew, I was very specific to getting people from the same genre as him, or films that I look up to. For instance, the cinematographer is Colin Levesque, who comes from Belgium. He worked on Helen Katet and Bruno Forzani films, who I literally, when I first put on Amr, and I got it by mistake, they did a film called Amr. I put it on, it was by mistake. I was in eBay, I was just like kind of, and I saw the cover, I just bought it from the cover. I love the cover. And I put it on, within the 5 minutes, I started standing up watching the movie. By the end of the movie, I was still standing watching the movie. I remember I was at home, and then I'm like, I want to work with these guys, I want to bring these guys. And just bringing Colin over, I was asking him questions, but he hated me. But I was like, how's Helen, how's Bruno? But that energy was always there, and that kind of passion to filmmaking and genre.
Thank you, Majid. What we're gonna do, we're gonna see 2 other trailers for Noura and Alaeddin. But before, I know that Danielle, she's leaving to Paris to see the Parisienne, because she is introducing Parisienne everywhere, and she wants to be Parisienne. No? So I know that you have to leave. Your flight is. So.
Thank you. Yes, I have to leave. And I was going to add that yes, the important thing for doing movies is to have friends in the team, in the production. And I have a great friend since I began to make movies, and she is Sabine Sidawi Hamdan. She's my Lebanese producer, and maybe I changed lots of French producers, but I will never change Sabine. Yes.
We never change Sabine, you know.
Voilà. Thank you, Antoine. And I hope I will never change Dubai. I will come back.
No, you come back.
And I hope I will have the prize.
I can't decide, but. Thank you. I'm going to open the discussion, but before, Noura, how important is the artistic side of a documentary? Because it's very aesthetic, your film. It's very, I know that you take a lot of time to do it, to finish it, but it's not shooting, it's really aesthetic. How important is the side in a documentary?
For me, a documentary, the aesthetics of a documentary is absolutely important. I really, really like documentaries that are well thought of, well shot. You know, it's more than just putting a microphone in front of someone and asking them to talk. So before I even started the film, I visualized the whole film in my head. I approached it like a drama. I created shot by shot everything about the film. And I knew how it was going to be told. So the cinematographer, the soundman, producer, and I moved in with my father, and basically it was a very intimate shoot. We set up cameras, lights, set up everything like a drama, and basically we waited for him to wake up and shuffle his feet in the hallway and walk all the way to take his medicine and come back. So the reason this film is so beautiful, the way it's put together, is because the character basically demanded it. Yeah. Because he cannot speak. I mean, for some of you who haven't seen it, it's an 82-minute film with no dialogue, no narration, no talking. So it's very hard to make a film like that, to pull a story together. And so we had to be very efficient in the way of making the film so that we don't waste his time, because it's so hard for him to walk, to move, to say, you know, to write 2 words. It takes so much energy. So the efficiency of the character's need for his health had to basically create the way the film was made. And also, you know, every filmmaker faces difficulties of money, financing, time. So you have to, basically you're forced to be creative and make decisions that would solve your problems. And some of those basically came out in the film in terms of, you know, archival usage, things like that, that we all end up doing.
Yes.
So it turned out to be, you know, a very beautiful film and creative. You know, some people call it experimental, it's essay, it's a mixture of everything.
I don't think it's experimental, I don't think. It's aesthetically, it's like...
I don't think it's experimental as well. It's probably best to describe it as a hybrid film and an experiential essay. Experiential, I guess, in the sense that the film puts the audience in the shoes of a man who suffers from Parkinson's. So you get to feel his loneliness, his isolation, imprisonment, and you know, it's very symbolic in that sense.
Alaeddin's creativity is in the center of your film, but also you are dealing with this symbolism. You're dealing with your environment, you're dealing with this intellectual. I know it's very difficult to do animation. Are you thinking about a feature film? Are you thinking about, do you think a lot about this creativity? How did you work on this, on Diaspora?
Okay, of course I'm thinking for
parallel. I'm talking about the parallelism between the political, the symbolism, and the creativity.
It's really hard to find the way between the creativity and the political issue, and but I think this is a part of the creativity also, to know how to deal with maybe the problems in production, or how, what you need to say really, you know. It's Diaspora is a short film. It's about 13 minutes, and we stay about 2 years working on the film. 6 months for the set itself. It's just 2 meters, and 7 months in shooting frame by frame, and about 3 months in the post-production. So in this so long period, you have to know that in the end you will get one good picture with all the one good deep picture in all the film. So, but that's really what I want to work on. So, And I hope I can move this way to work into to the future films or something.
I was asking you that because I know that it took a lot of time. So sometimes when it took a lot of time, it's better to be featured so he can open.
Yeah, my first film. I paint, but I also study cinematography. Yeah. So I studied the normal shooting. So and my first film is a short 2D animation, hand-drawn animation, frame by image per image. And this is my first stop-motion film. So for me, in every experience, I can learn how to try a new medium and how to tell the idea, because the concept is more important for me. The aesthetic helps the concept, yeah.
Great. I'm going to open a discussion. If you have any question, please do not hesitate. Lise, she has a mic, she can give it to you. Jinan also, she has a mic. Do you have any question? Please. Otherwise, I'm going to continue the discussion with Majid, right? Because Danielle, she was saying that she will be the last filmmaker to go to Hollywood. Will you go to Hollywood with ZINZANA? No, I'm talking about inspiration. Your inspiration.
I definitely.
Because it's not American inspiration. You have you mentioned some filmmakers from South Korea or.
Yeah. No, I think. My number one goal, or what I see myself, is to work in the Arab industry. Because we don't have an industry, I'm specifically talking about GCC, and for the most part, to me it's about changing what we have here. Yeah, you could go to America and you can make an American film, and if you do good, great, they want a bigger piece of you. If you don't do good, they throw in the garbage. That's not what I'm interested in. I definitely would love to do it for a personal just for a personal opportunity. But my main goal is definitely to make more Arabic films. My dream is to see 6 Arabic films playing back-to-back in the theaters 10, 20 years from now. That's definitely my drive and definitely my goal. And that was the whole reason for ZINZANA. I don't think ZINZANA will make its money back, but that's not the whole reason why we do ZINZANA or like The Worthy or ATB or Arab films in general. I'm specifically talking about what we have the movement here for with Imagination, is that we want to make films that will just inspire the next film, that will inspire the next generation to go out and say, okay, I watched this film, and I'm sure someone is going to say it, and someone that's maybe 18 years old or 17 that watches ZINZANA and says, good, but I'm going to do it better. 10 years from now, he will do a better ZINZANA. And that's the whole goal. and it happened to me, and why it became like that, actually the backstory, which was very personal and funny. I remember once, when I started doing films, my family hated that I was doing films. And my father's like, or my mom are like, what were you doing films? Why don't you be a lawyer? Why don't you be a businessman? Be something normal. So to them, being a filmmaker is not normal. I'm like, okay, took that negative energy, made it positive, and just worked my ass off in anything I could do. I remember on Jinn, I was Toby Hooper's driver for a month. I was literally sitting down, and the valet would knock the door. He's like, you're Emirati? I'm like, yeah, I'm Emirati. He's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, just let me do my thing. Just move away. So I worked my way up and then got into Majid and so on. But within 4 years, they still did not get convinced. They're like, what the hell are you doing? Do something normal. But I remember sitting, and that's why it was a big deal for me to have it in the main arena. I remember a few years back, I was sitting there and I watched City of Life. And I'm like, okay, now I have an idea. I love the film. So I go back home, wait for the cinema release. I drag my mother. I'm like, you're going to come to the cinema, you're going to watch this film. We go to the cinema, and I'm like, she's like, so what are we watching? I'm like, we're watching an Emirati film, an Arabic film called City of Life by Ali Mustafa with Emirati actors. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, let's go watch it. She's like, oh, it's going to be shit. Let's go watch an American film. I'm like, okay, just watch this, don't worry. I needed her to love it so I could do my thing. And we sat down at the theater, and she watches the film, and I'm growing nervous. Then the movie's coming to an end, and I'm sitting there, I'm like rocking, going for a smoke, coming back, because I watch a film. At the end of the film, she pauses, the credits starts rolling, and I look at her, and I just see a tear in her eyes. She points at the screen and says, when am I going to see your name up there? So to me, then I'm like, okay, now I figured myself out. Now I know what kind of filmmaker I want to be. I don't want to have the next generation. I don't want them to go through what I did. So I'm going to want to make it easier for them. So the better for the films that we come up with, the more encourages the community, the more encourages the parents, and that's what, just like City of Life changed my mom. My mom now is the biggest Ali Mustafa fan. When she sees Ali Mustafa, she just like throws me away and runs to him. And she's a big fan of Arab cinema and Emirati cinema. And I want to transform, and I love that transformation to see, other than it's a person thinking that she's my mom, but I love seeing that transformation from going, Arabic films are not that good, to saying, wow, this is great. And I think, I heard so much about Halal Love, and I think that's a film, just from the trailer, that's also going to change that. The Idol, that's going to change. I'm not specifically talking about Emirati film, I'm just talking about Arab films in general. That's what we hope that the future will be. Like, I'd love it 10 years from now or 5 years from now, films like all of what we're doing is in cinemas and are back-to-back, and people have the choice to choose whatever films they want to choose in the Arab world.
Thank you, Majid. You know, it's funny, Assad, because when I saw Halal Love, I remember an Egyptian film with Sabah and Farid Shawki. It's Zog Murati. It's always almost the same story about Sabah, that she divorced from her husband 3 times, and after that So my question for you, it's the same. It's about your inspiration, about the film, because I know that you are a teacher. I wanted to know your cinematographic references. Did you watch Egyptian film? Are you familiar with French film, with European films, Italian?
When I was a kid, I used to go, the best trip for me was on Saturday night going with my parents watching a movie. My mother used to be a fan of Egyptian movies, so I was a kid, I must go with her watching Farid Atrash. This is why there's a kind of homage to him in the film. She would cry and I would cry next to her. Yeah, I watched Egyptian movies.
When I grew up, is talking almost the same story of one of the stories.
We have the same stories.
Yes.
Well, it's the same stories. Too bad we don't learn from them. We still have the same problems in our society, in our families. There is the same stories. I didn't invent any story. They're real stories everywhere, and they're even in cinemas and even our stories. It's just the way you treat them and the way you talk about them, but they're not new. My stories are very old-fashioned story, but too bad we don't learn from old-fashioned problems. There's still new problems for us. So this is why I'm dealing with them in a different way, trying to say there's still problems in our families.
Noura, I have a personal question for you. I know it's hard maybe, but what did your father, what did he feel when you were shooting him before, when he knew that you're a filmmaker, when you moved to Canada, and how did he deal with you as a filmmaker?
He was very happy to find out that I had started making films, and I started in 2000. And the first film I made was Veils Uncovered, and he thought it was quite a tough subject. And at that time, he was speaking. He could speak. And he asked me, why would you make a movie about Muslim women's underwear? And I always thought that was the strangest question my dad ever asked me. And I thought, because it's very interesting. He was very happy about it, but I guess coming to this film's question, at the time I thought about making a film about him, he had already lost his ability to speak due to Parkinson's, but he wanted to help me. He wanted to give access to me and to you, his life. Even though it was really hard for him to take part in the film, it was exhausting for him to sit and just to know. I mean, all documentary filmmakers know that the subjects feel so invasion of privacy when a camera is right on you all the time. It's really hard, especially when you're old and you feel that you don't look your best and it was hard for him, but he wanted to give me access. And I think the ultimate goal was for the audience to know what it feels like to have Parkinson's. He wanted to share that because I was interested in getting deep into the disease, not only just physical, but the psychological aspects of the disease that is made possible, that you get to feel in the film. So that's why he took part in it, and he was very happy to know that he had made some type of contribution to me as his daughter, to cinema, and hopefully to Parkinson's disease, so that somehow, someday, they might, find a cure for this disease.
Do you have any question? And when you get to Canada, have you been involved in the Canadian cinema? I was asking Majid about the Asian film that he used to see. What about you? Do you go to see Atom Egoyan film, David Cronenberg? You're in Toronto, I believe. Yes. You're based in Toronto.
I'm being based
or maybe this is not your inspiration, it's necessarily the Canadian cinema. Could you talk to us about it, because you do documentaries?
I went to Canada in my late teens. I was 17. I studied at University of Toronto, and I did cinema studies as a side course. So I watched a lot of the films that all the people who like film watch, Italian movies and Italian cinema. I studied that. But I guess I was really interested from the beginning in a lot of documentaries. I watched a lot of Errol Morris documentaries, Maisel Brothers, and of course in Toronto we have the great DIFF, we have the library. So watch a lot of films, and I'm a big fan of Russian films. And Egoyan, I know him as a local filmmaker, and I've seen his films.
I know that you're working on a documentary called Batata.
Yes.
It's always in Lebanon. It's taking place in Lebanon.
Yes.
How come you don't do films in documentary in Toronto or in Canada?
Well, I guess every filmmaker is, we're all made, and the person we are is really based on our culture, our heritage, and I'm always so much connected to Lebanon, where I grew up. So for me, all my stories, all my inspiration comes from Lebanon, and specifically the Bekaa Valley. Everything I've done is based back home, and I just love filming there, being there, the culture, the topics. I'm very interested in women's issues, and it's so rich there that I'm not interested in making. I mean, a lot of the Western Toronto Canadian topics are not so interesting for me.
It's interesting for all of you, because you all wanted to do something locals also about it. Like Assad, he did some important subject, dealing with some important, but also local subject. You, Majid, you want to do something here. And especially Alaeddin, he was talking about this amazing symbolism, about this intellectual. I'm very happy to have this is something important for us to have that kind of film in DIFF. It's very different films, but we try to talk about the liberty, about the new generation of filmmakers, maybe the new subjects that we like to deal with. So thank you, Assad, Fouladkar. Thank you. Really, we've been waiting halal here in this festival. Majid, you're amazing. Thank you with all the stories. Noura, she's a dear friend. She knows that she's always been welcome at the DIFF. Thank you, Paul, for being with us. And Alaeddin, I saw Diaspora a long time ago, but I discovered yesterday on the big screen. It was amazing.
It's the second projection, because the first projection was in Carthage Film Festival, and it won the Golden Tanit in Carthage. So it's for me, especially because it's a mute film. So.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you, Jinan Coulter, for your help. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.